Morning, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now, on this beautiful, hazy, but pretty morning, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of gardening services happening all around me. There's somebody getting a new roof, so there's a lot of nail gun sounds going off. So it kind of sounds like I'm in a war zone right now. Hopefully, this microphone isn't picking up all these sounds. So, as you can see, I got a full workout and a full day planned out. Be doing the axle deadlift. Going to be doing some burpees, running, some stones, all the good stuff. Let's pop in today's workout, see what we got going on. Alrighty, so on this glorious morning, I'm going to be doing the strength giant set, which is going to be the axle bar deadlift. And the idea is just to go up in weight for one rep and just kind of see where I'm at and kind of take it easy, which I'll explain the deloading process later. And as I'm going up in weight, I'm also going to be doing bar facing burpees. Great overall exercise for a full body workout. You're getting your legs, abs, your chest, and you're absolutely destroying your cardiovascular system. It also warms up my hips as I get up to the heavier weights on the deadlift. And I'm going to do one stone over the shoulder with just a very light 84-pound stone. And then I'm going to run 200 meters, 100 meters down, and then 100 meters back that I personally measured. By the time I'm done with my total workout, should have done 1 mile of cumulative running. That's going to be the strength giant set for the day. Now, when people hear the word deload, if you're a beginner, you're probably like, what the heck is that? If you're an advanced lifter, you hate that word. Because every time you go to the gym, you want to do something fun. And particularly, that usually means lifting something heavy or doing a heavy set for a lot of reps. But sometimes we have to remain disciplined if we want to go up in progress. Otherwise, we're just going to plateau because we're never going to give our body a break, which is basically what deloading means. Deloading means giving your body a little bit of a break. And deloading looks different for different people. For CrossFitters, when I used to do CrossFit, CrossFitters usually test their 1 rep max, and then they don't do that movement for a very long time. And they actually train something else. They might train running or ring muscle ups or something different before they come back to that heavy compound movement and test again maybe a couple months later, but working up in weight. Deloading for me means just changing the implement. Instead of having it be a barbell all the time, changing it to a different kind of implement, such as an axle bar or putting chains on or using a trap bar. In this case, I'm only talking about the deadlift. And just doing something that seems comfortable going up and not pushing it too hard. If you push yourself on the same movement, on the same equipment every single time you go to the gym, eventually you're just going to go backwards and you're likely to hurt yourself. Switching up equipment like I'm doing helps with deloading, but also completely starting over. Working up to 1 rep max and then taking that win and then going backwards and starting off with lighter percentage in weight. That's the part that advanced lifters hate doing. They hate doing that because they'd rather go to the gym and have some fun and not have to start over again. And sometimes that's the reason why they don't go back to the gym. So there's different ways to deload. You can take your pick. So the goal for today's workout was to get to 410 pounds and kind of see how I feel. See if maybe I need to leave it there from all the heavy deadlifting I've been doing last month, or can I go up in weight? And what I kind of decided was it went up very fast, especially when I was reviewing the video. But at the same time, the top of the lift where you have to lock it out, that was giving me some hip impingements. So that kind of tells me that my hips are a little bit tired. So I decided it would be safe to go to 440 pounds today. And this would be a really good starting point for me because then I can just work off of it from here and work my way back up every single workout. And this was actually very smooth and very fast, but it didn't feel like that in my hands. But when I looked at the video and saw how fast it went up, I was very, very happy about that. But I knew that my hips were going to be a problem. So I actually, in between shots here, did some hip mobility, trying to open up that hip. And I'm actually going to have to focus on that a little bit harder as I go through the rest of the workout and the remaining workouts after this. Just that lockout portion. Otherwise, off the floor, I'm looking really strong and really good. All right, so not a bad starting place for the axle deadlift. I've been doing a lot of deadlifts. I looked at my last month's total numbers of how much times I lift each compound movement, and deadlift was by far the most amount, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing because the deadlift does the most on your central nervous system, meaning it makes the muscles that hold your spine together feel like they're weak. And so it makes you want to abandon big weight because your spine doesn't feel supported. So because of that, I had to kind of dial it back today. But starting off with 440 pounds, I'll take that any day. Now I'm going to move on to the variation giant set. So, hey, let's go check that out, I guess. Now for the variation giant set, I was doing 3 rounds, and since the axle bar was already set up, I'm doing what's called axle bar deadlift rows. Now I'm still using those straps because the grip is not the factor here. It's actually doing the movement. It's getting it to my knees with a pull and then exploding it to my midsection. Allegedly, these really help with deadlifts and carry over greatly, so we'll see. I have never really done it with an axle bar before or with straps, so this is going to be something different. But I was experiencing a lot of tight hips, especially from the deadlifts. Once I reached my working rep set, I was really feeling it in the hips. So I ended up only doing a 3 rep max with 320. But again, this is something that I've never done on an axle bar. So this is good progress in my opinion. And I kept it in the same giant set format training as the strength giant set by doing those bar facing burpees and doing that stone over the shoulder. And by the time I was done with this last round, then I had done 1 mile running of accumulative running from doing those 200-meter runs. All right, so this was pretty good. I think this is the most I've ever done for a deadlift row and on an axle bar. So I'm going to take that. But the thing is, I could feel how zapped that made me. That was a lot of work between the deadlifts and the deadlift rows. And hopefully this carries over into the deadlift. I don't know. I'm trying it out. I'll let you know if it works or not. So now I'm just going to continue this workout, but I'm mainly going to do a bodybuilding style because I just want to hit all the muscles that are already fatigued and just try to build them and get some blood there so that they heal and that they grow. Let's pop in and check that out. Now for the assistance giant set, like I said, I was feeling a lot of fatigue and my hips were hurting like crazy. So I decided that I was going to do a more bodybuilding style. So I was doing 3 rounds, starting off with the banded straight arm lat pull down. Great exercise to do for deadlift because that's that same locking motion that you need for your back, but it also helps getting the bar out of the rack when you're bench pressing. So a great overall movement for the back. And then I was doing something that I've never really done before, but I kind of saw was a great assistant movement for the deadlift. And I think that its official name is like the staggered stance twisted RDL, Romanian deadlift, as it's called. I just call them look backs because essentially what you need to do is just bring your foot forward and then touch that kettlebell or dumbbell down to the foot as you twist. But the most important part is as you look back, that's actually activating the muscles that it's supposed to work. And it also destroys your obliques. So I was doing this on both sides. And I must say that when I was done doing this, my hips felt a lot better. But another movement that really helps my hips feel a lot better is the weighted ab mat sit up. I really feel like the weighted ab mat sit up carries over a lot, not only into the deadlift, but into the back squat. So I really enjoy doing this, and it makes my hips feel a lot better after a really big heavy lifting session. And for the accessory giant set, I was doing 3 rounds yet again. You're starting to notice the pattern here. This time I was doing standard alternating kettlebell curls. Ooh, that's a mouthful right there. But essentially because you do a lot of pulling, you're really working those biceps. So this is a great way to finish them off, but it's also a great way to keep your elbow health safe. Because as you pull a lot, your elbows can start getting a lot of pressure put on them in the wrong direction. So doing curls like this, especially with a lightweight, and just making sure they're nice and controlled. Sometimes I do heavy and sometimes I do controlled. So today they're going to be controlled, but it definitely helps my elbow health. And some hitchhikers, because you know that I love to do hitchhikers after every single workout, or at least some type of face pull variation such as these for shoulder health and longevity. And then I was doing some hip bridges, doing it with both legs and then switching over into single legs, trying to hit the abs, trying to hit the hips, trying to hit the hamstrings to finish all of those off and to keep my hips feeling a lot better. All right, so that's going to conclude it for today's workout. I hope you all like my hat. I got it when I went golfing. It was a very cheap hat, but hey, it got my head covered today for the workout, so that's all I'm asking for. Really appreciate everybody stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.